G'day. G'day, my name's Tony Smith and this is Southland Trim. It's a motor trimming workshop I've been running for about 16 years now here in Port Wollonga, South Australia, about 70k from Adelaide. And in that time I've worked on all sorts of different things, everything from cars, trucks, planes, buses, but always over the last 45 years that I've been doing motor trimming, my speciality has always been motorcycle seats, which I am a motorcycle enthusiast myself and I really enjoy working on them. So to that end, that's why this shop was set up, and now I'm reaching the point where I'm pretty much retired, and I thought I'd start a stream of just how to do trimming and various things that go with it, and show you how to do motorbike seats. So I'm really pretty wretched at this streaming thing, so you'll have to bear with me. Hopefully I'll get better as time goes on. But today I thought mainly just an introductory sort of setup, and so the first thing I'm going to do is turn this camera around and just show you the inside of the shop. So bear with us. And there you can see, so this side's where I put seats together. That's what that pad's specially for. And then this is the main cutting bench and my Seiko sewing machine, which is a walking foot sewing machine, which if you're going to look at doing any trimming, you must get a walking foot machine. Just about anything else is no good for it. But there's a huge range of them available, from cheaper machines like the Elizabeth series right up to Brother and Juki and a lot of Singer and a lot of really expensive brands. Over there, that corner over there is where I do all my foam work, shaping, cutting, and that bench there is just the same for foam and preparation. And in a short while I'll show you outside. So that's the basic shop. Over the next few sessions we're going to work on a motorbike which is mine, which is a BMW K100 with a sidecar on it, and I thought as a project to do for the show, I'll start by making a new tonneau for it and a new passenger seat. I've already done the rider's seat, but I thought I'd better get a passenger seat done pretty good for my wife or she'll kill me. So I might just have a quick break while I move the camera around and we'll have a look at the bike. So, back with you. This is the backyard. I'm just going to get out the bike. My assistant is missing. Mazakeen, Maze, come on. Here she is, my assistant. Hello, yes. Mazakeen's 18 months old, and that's the my spoilt best little mate. He gets away with murder. All right. It hasn't been started for about a month, so. First start, that's pretty promising. I get around on this a fair bit normally, but it's been off the road for about a month, and I needed to I did the seat on this in microfiber to see how well it lasted, but we have to redo the passenger seat and the tonneau because the tonneau no longer fits either. Changed the bar on the back and that changed the tonneau. Okay. So, let's just have a quick. Just to give you a little gander, I call it the blot on the landscape, just like you, hey? Yes, my assistant. We haven't got Mazakeen in the sidecar yet, but at some point, I'm sure she will. You'd love to go in there, wouldn't you? Yes, I would. Okay. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be fixing the tonneau on this and the passenger seat. Like I said, I'm only just starting to do this, so bear with me if I'm not very good at this. So there you go. So probably in the next session we'll get stuck into the sidecar. For now, mainly I'm just talking about how we got here really. I first started trimming about 45 years ago. I was working for a company called Nolan Shannon, who were a motor trimming upholstery supply company, which I absolutely loathed the job, but 5 years in I was starting to get fairly experienced with everything to do with servicing the motor trimming trade, and then I went out and bought a really old walking foot machine of my own, and the first job I did was my next door neighbour's XT500, and I cut down his seat and put a new cover on it. I think I got paid about $25 back then, and slowly developed over time from there. My first shop was called A.G. Smith's Trim Shop. I was running it from a spare bedroom in the house I was renting at the time, and eventually made friends with a chap called Peter Casaro, who was working at C&D Motorcycles with Clarion Dave, And Pete was a salesman and he'd come into a bit of money. He decided to start his own shop called Just Motorcycles. And I rented an area out the back of that shop and started doing bike seats, and really enjoyed the industry and being involved in it all. And so really have developed from there. I met another chap back then called Dave Sturm, and he was a really good fitter and turner and metalworker, and he came up with some simple bases for a couple of the shovel Harleys of the period, and I covered them, and next thing we knew, we had a little business of our own going called Bushranger Seats. It lasted for a few years and was very successful, but eventually went our separate ways. I took a couple of years off, and eventually when I came back to it, I'd in a new marriage, and she lived out here at Port Wollonga. So I moved out here and set up the shed, and I've been working by myself mainly on motorbike seats ever since. I did do quite a few muscle cars, but I loathe working on cars. I've got a bad back and bad knees, so crawling around the inside of filthy old restoration jobs just became too much for me. The bike work I love purely because I can do all of the foam work on the foam bench. It's really quite easy. I can move around my shop easy, and in the end I make all my seats, put them all together here, yeah, everything you work on's of a size it's enjoyable to work on. Plus I love doing custom Harley seats, and there's a few shops in Adelaide that I do them for, but most of my work comes from private, and I like dealing privately with people because you get more of an idea of what they really want for their bike. Quite often I'll make the bike foam how the customer wants it, and then let them use that on their bike to go for a test ride before we put the final cover on, at which point they got to pay for it. Some of the other things I probably should talk about are what you need if you're going to do any trimming work. And the basics, of course, are a walking foot sewing machine. You're going to need an air compressor and a spray gun for spraying contact cement. And they're the only real main mechanical items you'll need. Everything else is fairly simple. For cutting foam, I have an expensive foam cutter, which is that thing standing up there. These are about $1,200–1,300, so they cost a lot of money. They're great for cutting foam, but not so good for moving around. If you're going to be moving and using something, I recommend electric carving knives. You can pick them up for as cheap as $15 from Cheapers Chips or something like that. You normally get about 3 months use out of them before they're totaled, and it's an extremely cheap way to have a fairly good way of cutting foam. Foam shaping itself is quite difficult. You start off by shaping it with the cutting knife, but then I use a high-speed grinder and a flexible grinding disc, and I use that to do all the final finish. And then I cover all the foam afterwards with a really light foam called Sarex, which is a backed foam, and that sort of works almost like a bog and fills in any gaps on the job. I'm just going to take another break because I've got a clue what I'm doing.